On this week's FAS TV, we're focusing on diversification with a difference. We're in Morayshire on Thorabella farm with Nikki and Ollie Lake, winners of the Scottish Agriculture Awards Diversified Farm of the Year 2025. This dynamic pair have built up a successful business, including buffalo, sheep, wallabies and bees, alongside a farm shop, animal walkabout and strawbale holiday cabins. Later, we're in the Kingdom of Fife on Solsgirth Home Farm, where Jan Dixon and her family have diversified from dairying to farming in a more relaxed, nature-friendly way. Solsgirth produces honey, pork, beef and lamb, alongside holiday lets, farm tours and a vibrant monthly on-farm farmers market.
Back in probably 2015, we moved to Dallas, the village itself, and we were looking for some land to put some horses on basically. We managed to find that in Dallas there was a bit of scrub land that we put a few pigs on and basically raised them for the freezer, and from then we just got the bug. We wanted to be self-sufficient, we wanted to grow our own produce, so we went on the mission looking for land. And luckily enough this farm came up available. It didn't go on the market because we were in the area and we found out about it. We basically begged, stole and borrowed and managed to be able to afford it, and that's where the farming journey started basically.
For us, we're massively passionate about being self-sufficient. Nothing compares to your own produce. We're really proud of what we've managed to achieve here.
It's the same again. I think it's the fact that we know where our foods come from, we know what's gone into it. A lot of people also ask, oh, how can you raise your own animals for the table? And I think if you're going to eat meat, it's a good thing to understand where your meat comes from. I don't believe everyone should have to do the process that we're doing, but we are super proud of what we do.
So it's actually a really boring story of how we got into buffalo. Ollie remembered having a buffalo burger in Elgin when he was a teenager. So when we got some land, we kind of were thinking and swaying whether, what should we get? We could, because we were new entrants, we could learn anything. Whether we had, cattle or the Highlands, just sheep, we kind of went around it all. But yeah, we just thought something a little bit different, something that will maybe draw people in.
The meats are very lean, very high in omega-3s, it's very low in cholesterol. I think it's one of the only red meats you can eat if you've got a high cholesterol, which is fantastic. So very lean, but also it doesn't affect the taste or the flavour. So I'd say it's got a very dense flavour, but not gamey. So it is very much beef-like, but it's got all the health benefits of sort of your venison and things like that. So yeah, it's a really fantastic meat to have. So I went down on my own and basically came home with 3 cows in calf and a young bull, and it grew very quickly from there, didn't it? Pretty
much. I mean, I think the next year we got a couple more breeders. Obviously we had the calves from the lot the year before, but yeah, I mean, we're kind of sitting at around about 35 to 40 depending. Pretty much what happened with the buffalo meat was, we kind of did it just for ourselves. Kind of experimented, shall we say, on friends and family. They loved it, they wanted to buy some. We started selling meat boxes on the farm. So once we were all passed with EHO, started selling it there. People were coming up and it was literally from a shed and freezers and stuff like that. But they were coming up and they were asking, oh, can we see the buffalo? Can we see them? And where are they? And it was taking up quite a lot of our time, which is amazing. But yourself, when you're busy with the farm, it was getting a little bit out of hand. So we started going to markets as well, being able to put out a lot of produce in a small amount of time. And it just, it grew arms and legs that we ended up selling it here, selling it at markets, that we ended up putting a shop here as well.
The official farm shop started just after COVID really. We got a wee shed at the bottom of the drive, a little glamping pod 2 meters by 2 meters, couple freezers, opened on an honesty basis, and we were selling our meat, which was buffalo and pork mainly, and a few Highland beef as well, and honey and apple juice, which we produce ourselves as well. So it started off with that, and it just grew very quickly. People kept coming out and it got busier and busier. We then started stocking other kind of local produce from people that we met at market. So everything in our shop is basically from other local producers. So they're in Scotland, North Scotland, everywhere close by. So people we just met over the years who are in our position but struggle to hit the market, hit the amount of people you need to hit to be able to sell the quantities you need to make the business work. So it was kind of a no-brainer. It kind of self-developed across to expand that shop because we were running out of space in the wee shed. And yeah, so now we've got a 32-foot container. It's still an honesty shop, so we've got all our own produce. We've now upped that as well. We've got Jersey cows, and so we sell the Jersey milk and Jersey milk ice cream. We now do our own lamb. We do other local honey as well as our own. And we've now started doing a bit of merchandise as well. Our profile's got bigger.
Last year we were nominated for Diversified Farm of the Year with Agriculture Scotland. It was amazing. It was a fantastic experience, and it was actually a friend of ours that actually nominated us, which again was really nice because it's not something we really thought about doing. We are constantly busy, so we hadn't really applied for like any awards and that. So when we were nominated or shortlisted, shall we say, it was just a fantastic feeling. We were just absolutely buzzing just to go down and get away overnight. But just like recognizing that, you know, all the hard work we've done has been, you know, seen by people it was such a good feeling. Yeah. And then you've got to go up on stage as well. What folk didn't know was like we have no like nice clothes. Well, maybe people do know that. But I'd actually had a dress in my cupboard, which was my friend's. It wasn't even mine. And I'd taken that down. I had no shoes, so I was just wearing my cowboy boots that I always wear when I go out underneath it. So it was a fantastic moment, but yeah, we weren't very prepared for it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that it's amazing to be recognised for what we're doing. Like, you know, thinking what we are doing is actually good. You know what I mean? You always wonder if your business is working, if this is going well, do people really enjoy it? And being recognised with an award like that is amazing.
When we opened the farm shop, a lot of people were asking to see the animals. They were really excited to see what we had. So it just kind of was an idea that sprung to us a lot after we built the strawbale cabins, because again, we were doing tours, showing people the animals. But yeah, there was an amount of people that were asking. We thought this could work. So we built like, you know, safe walkarounds around the fields so that people can see the animals. They pay for entry, and we have such an array now of animals, all the way from the buffalo, the jerseys, the sheep, we're lambing just now. We've got the goats and then a bit of the unusual. Yeah. So we do have the emus, there's dwarf mongoose.
Well, we had the variation of farm animals because we wanted to be self-sufficient. So we needed pigs, we needed sheep, we needed cows. We got some Highlands just because Highlands are cool. You know what I mean? Everyone loves a Highland cow. And then
the jerseys for the milk was kind of your next progression as well.
And then we even got rabbits for meat as well, which we do. And chickens as well, we do a few meat chicks. And then I think little things just went different. A friend of ours had emus and we thought, oh, they're pretty cool. They'll work with the walk around. Mm-hmm. The wallabies were mainly for the cabins, just something slightly different. And like, when I was a kid, I always wanted to work in a zoo or have a zoo. We are creating our own one now.
People just find it a great place to come and, you know, spend time with their family and friends.
We're also adding wallabies to that, so we do have wallabies up at the cabins. They were before the walk around opened. We had the wallabies for the people in the cabins, but now we're going to be extending the walk around in the next few weeks, so people can go see them as well. So yeah, it's not just seeing the farm animals; it's seeing the exotic ones, slightly more exotic ones as well. We haven't quite got giraffes and that yet, but you never know. When people come to the farm, it's great. So they can see the animals, they can see how well they're kept, they can get very interactive. We've got a nice goat interactive area. They can, during lambing season, they get to see all the lambs and stuff as well and things. So they get quite up and close with the animals, which people really enjoy. And then they can kind of follow the whole story through if they like to. So we also have a catering unit on site now. So we produce burgers and things like that, all from our own produce. So it's kind of doing the whole circle. You can come see the animals, and then you can go to the shop, have some lunch from the catering unit, then go to the shop and potentially take something away with you. So we're not just creating something that they can come, chuck us some money and see a few animals. We're kind of trying to create a destination for people to come to, and somewhere for people to enjoy and take their kids and also learn. You know, we want people to learn about farms. It's scary how many people don't understand how farms work or where their food comes from. Not just children, but adults as well. So it's good to actually teach that. Going to the holiday cabins was more of a business thing. We started getting involved with agritourism, heard a lot of farms diversifying into people coming onto farms and staying on farms, and we thought, because we've got all these animals and etc., it's something that we could look into. So we looked into building holiday cabins ourselves, which we did. We chose the strawbale holiday cabins because we built our house out of straw the previous year, so we decided to continue that theme going down. And yeah, they work really well, they're insulated well, so we can rent them out in winter time.
They're massively eco-friendly. I mean, it means you don't have huge heating bills because of it, as well as the fact in summer they can keep you really cool. They're fantastic, and everyone says just how rustic and how like quiet and calm it is to be on the farm for their little breakaway.
I think the best thing that people say is they wake up in the morning, look out the window, and they see a little wallaby running along out the back, which I think is great. There's a wee baby up there just now as well, which is popping out of the pouch, so they love seeing that as well. It's just something you don't usually see. And that's the reason we bought the wallabies. It was literally, Nikki jokingly sent them to me on Facebook. I'm like, yes.
Second mistake.
and it was basically like, if someone was looking to book a holiday cabin, they sound quite equal, but then they know there's wallabies and animals running around, they might pick to go there. So,
but it's funny, the most popular animal with the cabin people is probably still the peacocks, though. Yeah. I mean, they are absolutely stunning. It's just really nice waking up in the morning, maybe not from the noise, but you look out your window and you see them, they just totter about the whole farm. They're brilliant, so they're nice to have around.
When we first got here, a lot of the fencing wasn't in the greatest condition, and after buying the farm we were pretty skint, to be honest. We didn't have a lot of money to spend, so we looked at getting some funding for putting some hedgerows up, so which we did. We got funding for 1,200 metres of hedgerows and for 4,500 trees on a shelter belt as well. So we planted the shelter belt of trees with 4 acres on the top of the hill, so once they grow up it's going to reduce the wind hopefully across the whole farm slightly. And then the hedgerows that we planted along the side of the fences as well makes a massive difference as well for shelter for the animals. It's also forage for the animals. It helps with water runoff as well. But the other thing as well, it's good for the biodiversity. So the amount of bugs, the amount of birds that have moved in here is absolutely fantastic. We've got the hedgerows there for multiple reasons. 1, it breaks your farm up and creates shelter. 2, it helps absorb surface runoff water. 3, it's great for our animals, but also great for the nature and the wildlife. The amount of wildlife on the farm now is fantastic. You know, we get curlews, we get oyster catchers, lapwings, numerous hares, and all the small birds, siskins, goldfinches, quite a few. We even see the osprey up here. Not the saying they live in the hedgerows or anything, but the amount of birds of prey up this way as well, which is great. So it creates a nice kind of ecosystem up here, and it's great to work with nature, not against it. So the Buffalo Bite is our catering unit on site. So we always wanted to bring food onto the farm, and we actually started it last June. And we probably weren't really planning it last year because timings. But thankfully we found someone who was actually selling their old business, and our daughter used to work in it as well. So it was all set up, it was ready to go. So we negotiated a price. We dropped it in place, we kitted it back out again, and we were ready to trade within a week, which was amazing. So it's one of those things, right place, right time. And it has just worked brilliantly. You know, we used to supply the guy meat as well, who we bought it off. So we kept some of the menu the same and changed it slightly for ourselves using all our own produce, and it works well. It just means people can come out, they can try a burger, they can have some loaded fries, or get a milkshake from the Jersey Milk, a big thick milkshake, and things like that, and enjoy our produce as well, and then that entices them to come back as well. So it's just that whole experience, getting that whole story from the farm from start to finish
So even though last year was a huge year for us, opening the animal walk round, extending the farm shop, adding the catering unit to the farm, we're not really planning on slowing down quite yet. We've already got plans to extend the walk around, which is what we've been working on the last couple of weeks, and it should be open by summer, meaning that the people can go up to see the wallabies now, as well as going up to see more of the adult goats and having a better separate area for them. And then the plan is we're going to have like a little flying aviary too up there. So it's like more additions on the farm, but as always we're kind of running low in land, so we have been debating whether we should be potentially looking for a larger one, which is incredibly sad for us because obviously this has been, you know, our home. You know, it's been a startup farm, but it's been our home. We've literally put blood, sweat and tears into it. But if we're looking to expand, it's just something that we logically are going to have to think of doing.
The more people you have, the more produce you need, the more land you need, and that's the one thing we do not have around here, which is very difficult. So although we're not definitely wanting to move, it's not off the cards basically. We have looked at a couple of farms in the last couple months, some good, some not so good, but right now nothing to report.
I bought the Solsgirth house and Solsgirth Home Farm at the same time. It was a dairy when we came in. It milked about 200 cows, but they did nothing else. And it was, you know, obviously dairy milking day and night, no escape, no rest, no time off. So we had a bit of work to do to catch up with fencing and the grass and everything. So it was just all grassland, about 300 acres, 360, with a third of it being woodland. That was planted some time ago, so we had to start with that basically. That's where we started. Initially I came in with about 30, 40 sheep, mules, and now we've just sort of gradually crept up. So I think this year we're at 240 ewes. And cattle, we started off with 8 Aberdeen Angus heifers in calf, and now we've got 24 out running with the bull, whatever. And then we have a whole range of other things. We have the farm itself, so we've got cattle, sheep, pigs, so we always had pigs. We do sort of various things with them, butchering, having them butchered and then selling it on directly ourselves. We have a lot of birds. I've always had birds of varying types, including emus and rheas and turkeys and chickens and ducks and virtually geese. That's what we had in this year, so quite a range of livestock. But then the farm itself, we needed to add a bit more to it because it's just grassland, so we've added accommodation so that a lot of the farmhouse and parts of the main house we have holiday lets set up for that. We do a lot of farm tours with kids, with schools especially, a lot of work with RET and with the agritourism group, so we have a lot of other parties coming in to visit us and see what we're up to. And we have a farmers market as well, so we do that every month. I'm a farmer's daughter, my dad's a farm manager from Aberdeenshire. I went to uni in Glasgow, did vet school, I was qualified. I've worked in Australia, New Zealand, Canada. I was in Ayrshire, that's where I started. I did mixed practice. I think I'm maybe a bit of a jack of all trades of everything that I do. So things that with vet's really good because you can do all sorts of different things with it. So I've done the mixed practice, worked abroad. I came back, I did small animal emergency work, and then I had 3 kiddies, so that didn't really fit with that very well. So I moved on. I've always had chickens and birds, so I ended up being a poultry vet for about 8-10 years. And then things changed a bit as we came along, and I landed up on the farm. So I've used all that as a starter point. Today I've got Ben, my middle son. He's out collecting bales with Wayne, so we've baled just down the road, so he's just bringing them in today, and then the minute he's finished that, he's about to start cutting for silage and hay. Our aims are to work together with the public, to bring people onto the farm, to realise what we're doing and why we're doing it. We have a lot of biodiversity, sustainability, we have everything works in a big circle, the big circle of life that involves everything. So even if you start with the bees, they are pollinating our apple trees, and the apple trees, they make our juice and our cider, which we all drink a lot. And then the mulch and the pulp that we have from the apples is fed to the pigs, and that goes on, so we have apple pork. So it's all a big circle that all works together. We started on the farm bringing in what I had from home, which was a small amount of sheep and pigs. and birds. And I've had emus for about 20 years, so we just kind of carried on with that. We haven't increased our emu and rhea numbers, we still have them, but we wanted to do lambing tours, so we started with lambing tours. We did increase our sheep numbers up to 100 or so, and we sort of started bringing people in. And the first time we did it, it was amazing. We just did it at weekends, just a couple of sessions, Saturday, Sunday at weekends, and we were fully booked the whole time. And you were lambing all during the week, and then you were doing weekend tours, and so it's a kind of no stopping kind of plan. Next year we did it during the week, and that's what we've done since then. So we started doing that just for lamb, but then we've actually realised that we can do farm tours as well, so people want to come on and see us. So that's how that started up. But we did think about the accommodation part as well. That was quite close to the beginning, but we had to do a lot of work on the houses to get them to that stage. So we do holiday lets for the houses. And then the market, somebody came to us in the very beginning and said, what about holding a market here once a month? So we did 12 stations in the tiny wee dairy, which was, and I remember the first time, because we had cars, the first time it was open for the weekend, the cars were coming up the drive and we're like, oh my God, this is so busy. Now we have 70 stands, so where we used to have a car park for all the traders, now it's actually full of traders, all different food and drink and crafty things for all like local producers. So as far as biodiversity goes, well, we're always planting new plants, we're like new trees. We try to do native trees that are not evergreens. So we've got the pollen for the pollinators, we've got the hedgerows, we've got, even with our apple trees, we have rows of trees in the middle of the apple trees just to help with the windbreak and to help them all, but it's all those trees and bushes that are pollinator friendly. The herbal ley, we don't use artificial fertiliser, we just spread muck when we can, when it's frosty enough. As far as what we can do to make the soil more sustainable, more healthy, we don't plough here, mainly because it has been a dairy, and every time we plough, all it does is churns up the seeds and we get another whole field of dockins. It's just a natural impossibility of getting through that. So I have this thing about not ploughing, which not everybody agrees with me. So we have a bit of a battle at home for that. Though we have the herbal ley, so we've got deep rooting, nitrogen fixing plants, the clover, which is also great for the bees. So we try and do white clover, the chicory and the plantain, which are all actually really full of energy for the sheep as well. So I mean, I think most people don't realise there is more energy in the herbal ley than there is in straight grass. So it has its benefits in lots of different ways. And then the fertiliser, we don't do artificial fertiliser at all, but we have plenty of muck here, so we kind of spread that when we can. Just have a struggle of it necessarily being dry enough and frosty enough to get out there and do it. If we're resowing grass or herbal ley, we put in the grass first and then follow it later with clover when it's less of a challenge. We've got sort of 3 to 4 to 5 fields in a circle, so we tend to run sheep and cattle in their own wee circle. So we're just moving on and not eating it too close to the ground, not finishing off the grass completely, letting it regrow, which is working quite well in the weather we've got just now because it's so wet as well. So we're trying to stop it all being mulched up. Well, the first trees and hedges were because of the apple trees and the site that we put them in, so we put them as bare rooted. It's a range of sizes, we've got semi-dwarf, dwarfed and full size, so they're in a wave, to try and help with the wind and the blossom. But because of the site we had, then there was a wind tunnel, so we initially wanted that in to help with the wind, to break the wind. And then we had bees as well, so our bees are the apiaries right next to the apple trees, so we're trying to make it good for them as well. So you have to have pollen 12 months a year. It's the same as this garden actually. This is the old garden here that was planted, so there's always something flowering here, so it's a perfect spot. We have a lot of locals that come here. They start with the farmers market, and we do a lot of things at the same time as the farmers market. It helps bring them in to make it slightly different from every other farmers market, because there are quite a few of them around, but most of them are not on farms. But we tend to do lamb feeding, or if we're actually lambing and calving. We had one market, we actually had a cow calving at the same time, so it was not easy coordinating everything like at the same time. But the people we have, so the locals are coming a lot, but we're trying to bring in other sort of passers-by tourists, I guess, because we're in quite a good area for people passing through. And people are tending, I think certainly this year there's a lot more staycations, like they're staying at home for their holidays. So we're trying to make it worthwhile. I mean, it's amazing. All the people that stay in their accommodation, we have a lot of Europeans, Americans, all sorts of things. And I think it's amazing. They love the rain. They love how green it is. It's just so different for them. But we all live here and we're just used to that. So it's like, oh, rain again. But they're out there in it. They love it. We've got beef, pork and lamb, and then we do Christmas turkeys, and we occasionally do some broilers as well. We use Hubbards, which are different from your regular on-the-shelf chickens. They take sort of 3 months to mature, and we tend to have, because we have them outside and roaming about the field, they manage a bit longer. Just they get so big, they get too heavy. So we have them ready. So we have alternatives to Christmas turkeys. We have Christmas chickens at 5.5 kilos, so they're quite impressive looking chickens. But our beef, pork and lamb, we have it all. We have to go to the abattoir, which is about an hour away. So Scotland is funny, there's not many abattoirs around, but the two that there are near here are both an hour away, but they're 5 miles apart. It's mad. But anyway, we go down there, and then for butchery, there's struggle with butchers because it's just closed down, like one after another have closed down. So at the moment, we use Scott Brothers in Dundee, and they come down and collect, and then I go up to them. I've got a fridge van, so we go out and collect from there just before the market. So we try to have fresh produce, something fresh for every market, and then we freeze up after that and go from there. So we have been with the agritourism group since it virtually started, because they started about a year before, in COVID actually, they set up, and then we joined them just after that, realising that there's a lot more that we could share between us. So we share a lot. We have lots of chats. Everyone's doing something along the same lines, but there's also a huge range of so many things you can do on the farms. And we just had the Global Agritourism Conference in Aberdeen, so we had about 500 people from around the world. On the first day, we're all out. There's about, I'm not sure how many buses, there are about 15 buses left Aberdeen to go out touring lots of different agritourism farms. I was with Marie Goujon. We went down to Lewin Bay, the cashmere goats, and then on to whisky makers, and then Charlton, one of the farm shops and cafeteria that had coffee shops, and the soft fruit growers as well. So a bit of everything. So everyone was amazed by what is available there. And the people on our tour, they were from, I mean, it's amazing. Places you don't even think as having agritourism as a big thing. Australia, Tasmania, Taiwan, a load of people from Taiwan. It was just amazing how many, we've got a range of people. Canada is the next site for the global agritourism next year. So there's quite a few Canadians and Americans. It was an amazing group of people. After the global conference, we had a few sort of scholars came out home with a lot of us. So we had 3 in this area. So we all met together and tripped around all the farms here to see them. Look at your options and what competition, not competition, because we don't work as competitors. All our neighbouring agritourism, we work together, so we can lead one to another, because we're not doing exactly the same thing, but we can try and work together. So just speak to get into the agritourism group and find out who's there, what you can work with them. We've done quite a lot here to develop the farm, and it has been a challenge because we have done so much at one time to the farm, and people were trying to say you should hold back, because we had our big barn, which was the Alexander's original bus station in 1926. That's where the first bus depot was, and that's what was there. In it we had there's an old dry that had never been used for 30 years and all sorts of different parts to it, but you can't do one part at a time. You have to just do the whole thing. So as a result of which, we've got our business units, we've got a coffee roastery and our catering kitchens, because it all just had to come at one point together. So I think you just have to go for it. I'd like to finish the work we've started. So that's my main thing in life. The big barn that we're just in the process of finishing it off, and we have done the most amazing concreting yard job. I just want to finish and see where we are and get going. So we've got an amazing event space as well. So it's not just a market. So, and we've got all the local people coming to the local business units. So it'll be quite good to get it going.